If you've ever wondered what kind of strength hides behind a soft smile, or what kind of courage exists beneath a woman the world only called beautiful, then you need to hear this story. Because this is the night Marilyn Monroe didn't just defend herself. She transformed humiliation into one of the most iconic moments in Hollywood history. And almost no one knows how it truly happened. It was 1953, during the production of a magazine photoshoot meant to rebrand Marilyn as a glamorous rising star. But behind the camera, tension simmered. The photographer, a man named Leonard Pike, was well known in the industry, not for kindness, not for artistry, but for control. He didn't photograph women, he commanded them. And that night he believed Marilyn Monroe was just another pretty face he could manipulate. Marilyn arrived early, as she always did. Her hair was pulled back, her makeup soft, her dress simple. She walked into the studio quietly, carrying a small notebook in her purse, the same one she wrote in every day. The crew greeted her with warm smiles. Marilyn had that effect on people. She made them feel seen. But Leonard didn't even look at her. He was adjusting lights, barking orders, complaining loudly about technical issues that didn't exist. It was clear he wanted to create an atmosphere where he was the only authority in the room. When Marilyn stepped onto the set, Leonard finally turned toward her, his eyes flicking over her body like she was an object. "You're late," he snapped, knowing very well she wasn't. Marilyn hesitated but chose not to argue. She had learned long ago that some men needed to feel bigger by making others feel small. "Let's just get started," she said softly. Leonard picked up his camera and circled her, clicking his tongue disapprovingly. No, this isn't working." He waved at her dress. "Take it off. The whole thing. We're not here to make a nun look pretty." The room froze. Marilyn felt heat rush to her cheeks. Not because she was embarrassed. She had posed for nude shots before when she was struggling to survive. But because of the cruelty in his voice. This wasn't creativity. This wasn't direction. This was an attempt to strip her dignity, to force obedience. She smiled politely. "Leonard, I was told this would be a classy shoot. I'm not comfortable with—" He cut her off sharply. "Comfortable? You think people care about your comfort. You're here because men want to look at you. Nothing more." A hush fell over the studio. Leonard stepped closer, invading her space. "You want fame, don't you? Then do what I say. Or someone younger, prettier, and more desperate will replace you by tomorrow." In that moment, something inside Marilyn cracked. Not from weakness, but from exhaustion. Exhaustion from years of men assuming she was nothing but a body. Exhaustion from being underestimated. Exhaustion from fighting for a respect she had earned 100 times over. She took a slow breath and said quietly, "I'm not removing anything." Leonard laughed. "Don't be ridiculous. You're Marilyn Monroe. You exist to be looked at. Now do as you're told." Marilyn turned away, trying to steady her heartbeat. In the background she heard whispers among the crew, some sympathetic, others terrified to intervene. Marilyn understood that feeling. She had spent her whole life walking on fragile ground, never wanting to disappoint, never wanting to cause trouble. But something was different tonight. Her eyes drifted to the makeup table where her purse rested. Inside was her notebook, her sanctuary, her truth. She walked toward it calmly, ignoring Leonard's irritated sighs behind her. She opened it and flipped to a page she had written the night before. It said, "If they only see the surface, show them the depth." Marilyn closed the notebook slowly. And for the first time that night she felt stillness, the kind that comes just before a storm. She walked back to the center of the studio. Leonard smirked, thinking she had finally surrendered. "Good," he said smugly. "Let's get on with—" Marilyn raised her hand gently, stopping him mid-sentence. "Leonard," she said, her voice soft but steady, "do you know what the difference is between you and me?" He scoffed. "Enlighten me." She stepped closer, staring directly into his eyes. "You take pictures. I create moments. People remember me because I give them something real, something honest, something they can feel." She paused. "What do you give them?" The room went silent. Leonard's smirk disappeared. Marilyn continued, her voice growing stronger. "You think being cruel makes you powerful. You think humiliating women will make you respected. But all it does is expose how small you feel inside." Leonard's face turned red. "How dare you—" Marilyn didn't flinch. "No. How dare you speak to me the way you did? How dare you treat any woman like this?" Her voice softened again, but the softness was sharper than steel. "You see me as an object because it's the only way you can feel like a man." A few crew members quietly applauded. Leonard shot them a deadly glare, but the tide had turned. Marilyn stepped backward, standing next to the lights. "This shoot doesn't need your cruelty," she said. "It needs truth. It needs a moment people will feel, not just see." And then she did something no one expected. She reached up, loosened her hair, and let it fall around her shoulders. She pinched her cheeks lightly to bring color to her face. She took a deep breath and looked directly into the main camera lens. Not with seduction, not with fear, but with raw, vulnerable humanity. The moment she looked into that camera, the entire room felt it. A shift, a spark, a presence that could not be controlled, only witnessed. She whispered, "Take the picture now. This is the real me." Leonard hesitated, his pride battling with the undeniable truth in front of him. The crew waited. The air felt electric. Finally, Leonard raised his camera. Click. The sound echoed like a heartbeat. Click. He took another. Click. And another. Something inside him softened, though he tried to hide it. He wasn't photographing a body anymore. He was capturing a person, a woman with depth, with complexity, with undeniable power, a power he could never take from her. When he lowered the camera, Marilyn stepped toward him, not with anger, but with grace. "I hope," she said quietly, "that one day you learn the difference between seeing a woman and understanding her." Then she walked away. The entire studio watched in silence as Marilyn gathered her coat, her notebook, and her dignity. She paused at the door, looked back at the stunned crew, and smiled. A warm, knowing smile. The next morning, those photos appeared in the magazine. Photos that would become some of the most iconic images of Marilyn Monroe ever printed. Images described as vulnerable yet strong, radiant yet introspective, beautiful because they feel alive. And Leonard Pike, once known for arrogance and manipulation, found himself overshadowed by the woman he tried to humiliate. A woman who proved, not with violence or anger, but with truth, that dignity is something no one can take from you unless you allow them. Marilyn Monroe wasn't just a symbol of beauty. She was a reminder that even in a world determined to belittle you, grace can be the sharpest form of strength. If you want to hear more hidden stories about Marilyn Monroe, the woman behind the legend, subscribe to Hidden Marilyn. The truth behind her smile is just beginning to be revealed.